Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button right now because trust me, Broncos country, you are going to want to be along for this ride. Buckle up, Broncos country, because we have got a preseason grenade to unpack. Denver just dropped a game to the Green Bay Packers 33-13, and on paper, that scoreline looks like a 5-alarm fire, but stick with me here because the scoreboard is lying to you. This was not a bad night for the Denver Broncos. This was a night where the studs looked like studs, the pretenders got exposed, and one rookie running back may have just quietly started a three-way civil war in the backfield. We're doing a full winners and losers breakdown, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you are going to feel a whole lot better about this team than that final score suggests. So settle in because there is a lot to get to, and we are not skipping a single detail. Let's rip the Band-Aid off first with the good stuff because there was a connection on display tonight that Broncos fans have been salivating over since the trade rumors first started swirling. Nix and Jaylen Waddle, one drive, one target, 35 yards. Nix drops back, Waddle splits the seam through zone coverage like he's got a GPS wired into his cleats. And just like that, Broncos country got its first real taste of what this offense is supposed to look like this season. This is the connection we've been begging for since the ink dried on that trade. Pair that with Courtland Sutton on the other side, and you are looking at a duo that is going to make defensive coordinators lose sleep all season long. Sutton and Waddle together is the kind of 1-2 punch that turns a good passing attack into a nightmare matchup problem every single week. It's the kind of pairing where you genuinely don't know who to double, and when a defense doesn't know who to double, somebody is getting torched over and over again all season. And Nix himself, Bo was borderline perfect, 6 for 9 passing, 76 yards, a touchdown, and a passer rating of 130. His footwork was clean, his drops were controlled, no happy feet, no jumpiness in the pocket. He looked like a guy who is fully settled into the starting job and is no longer thinking, just playing on instinct. His command of the offense stood out too, working through his progressions calmly instead of locking onto his first read and hoping for the best. And honestly, if it wasn't for a questionable spot on a Courtland Sutton toe drag catch that the officials somehow ruled against Denver, we're talking about a near flawless drive chart tonight. We'll get to the officiating disaster in a minute because, we are getting to it. But make no mistake, Nix looked like a quarterback who is about to take a real leap this season. Mark it down. Screenshot this. Come back and remind me in January. Now let's talk about the touchdown because it belonged to a name that is quickly becoming the most electric story of this entire preseason. Harvey. Nix rolls, hits his back foot, takes one read, and lofts a beautiful wheel route right into the breadbasket. Harvey elevates over a bigger defender, secures it, and walks into the end zone. 6 points. But here's the thing that should really get Broncos country buzzing. It came out during the offseason that Harvey played through an injury for basically his entire rookie season last year. Think about that for a second. Everything you saw from him as a rookie, all of it, came from a guy who wasn't even close to full strength. And now he is running angry. He is attacking contact between the tackles instead of dancing around it, and he still has every bit of that home run explosiveness in the open field and as a pass catcher that made him a valuable weapon in the first place. Harvey has publicly said he wants this to be the best running back room in the entire NFL, and honestly, after watching this, I'm not ready to argue with him. Because here's the wrinkle nobody is talking about enough. This backfield isn't just Harvey and veteran J.K. Dobbins anymore. There is a rookie 4th-round pick who is quietly forcing his way into the conversation. And if you have not been paying attention, you need to start right now. This kid runs low, runs angry, and he is not afraid to lower his pads and finish through contact. He's already flashing the kind of physicality that makes offensive coordinators trust him on early downs, and he's shown some legitimate juice as a receiver out of the backfield too. Combine him with Dobbins as the home run hitter and Harvey as the do-it-all weapon who can line up anywhere, and you are staring down a 3-headed monster that no defense in the league is built to handle for 4 full quarters. Who are you going to stop? You can't gear up for all 3 at once. This running back room might end up being the sneaky best position group on the entire roster by December, and I am not exaggerating when I say that. All right, we've gushed enough. Let's get into the ugly stuff because there was ugly stuff, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. The backup offensive line was an absolute disaster tonight. We are talking about the 3rd stringers, the 4th stringers, guys who might not even be on this roster come final cuts, and they got manhandled from snap 1. 10 penalties for 79 yards, and that doesn't even count the multiple additional penalties that Green Bay actually declined because they like the result of the play better. If you add those back in, we are talking about something closer to 13 penalties for around 100 yards. That is not a clean performance. That is not a buttoned-up football team. Sean Payton himself came out after the game and said the Packers outplayed Denver in almost every single phase, and when your own head coach is that blunt about it, it wasn't pretty out there. Now, here's the part where I have to be the responsible one for a second. This is preseason. This is exactly what preseason exists for. You are supposed to find the weak links before week one actually matters. But I'll admit there is one small nagging seed of doubt in the back of my head, and it's this. If one of Denver's starting offensive linemen goes down with an injury during the regular season, is this current depth chart actually ready to step in and hold the fort? We saw the alarm bells on this exact issue during last year's playoff run when depth pieces had to scramble into unfamiliar roles under real pressure. Right now, watching these reserves get bulldozed, I don't have full confidence that the third option at any of these 5 spots is ready for real NFL snaps. As long as the starters stay healthy, none of this matters, but football is football, and health is never guaranteed. So consider that your one gray cloud in an otherwise pretty encouraging preseason outing. While we're doing damage control, let's talk quarterback play behind Bo Nix, because the backup battle did not go well tonight. The primary backup played the bulk of the game, which was honestly a little bit surprising, and it did not go smoothly. He got hit early, got hit often, and there is a real chance the coaching staff was protecting the number 2 option behind him from unnecessary hits, given how badly that offensive line was getting shredded. When the second option finally did get in the game, he took some lumps too, so this wasn't strictly a one-man problem. But let's be fair about the interception, because that one is not on the offensive line. That was a clean pocket, a 3-step drop, 1 read, and a bad decision on a bad throw. That one's just a mistake, plain and simple, and mistakes happen in preseason. The backup quarterback deserves some credit too, honestly, because he was scrambling for his life out there all night, getting flushed the second the ball touched his hands, and he's never really profiled as a big mover in the pocket to begin with. Too many checkdowns, a couple of errant throws, sailed high, and it just wasn't a clean night for Denver's second and third string offense as a whole. And that's okay. That's what these games are for. Now, before we get to our final winner of the night, I need to pause and tell you about the people who make this channel possible. These preseason breakdowns take real time to put together, and I want to give a proper shout out to our partners over at Prize Picks. I play Prize Picks every single day. I'm not exaggerating, every single day, and I will be the first to admit that tonight's lineup was rough, absolutely brutal, one of my worst of the summer. But that's exactly why I love this platform, because on the nights it hits, you can win up to 2,000 times your original entry, 2,000 times. So here's what you do. Download the Prize Picks app right now today. Before you even finish this video, play your first $5 lineup. And if that lineup hits, you get an extra $150 in bonus lineups on top of it. All you have to do is sign up using code HMA. That's code HMA, linked down in the description and pinned in the comments of this video. It is good to be right, Broncos country, and Prize Picks makes it even better when you are. All right, back to the breakdown, because we have got one more massive winner to talk about, and this one is on the defensive side of the ball. If you have not heard the name yet, you are about to hear it a whole lot more. This young edge rusher lit it up tonight, and I mean lit it up. His first step off the line is pure lightning, faster than almost anyone else in that room, and that room, by the way, might genuinely be the best edge rushing unit in the entire NFL. Paired alongside another ascending young pass rusher who has been quietly building a reputation as one of the most disruptive forces on this whole roster, these two guys would start for probably 25 other teams in this league. That is not hyperbole. That is not homerism. That's just a fact. They currently sit behind established veteran starters, but with a legal situation looming over one of those veterans and questions about how much time he might miss, both of these young guns are about to see a significant uptick in snaps very soon, Broncos country. I genuinely believe this defensive front is going to be must-watch television all season long. There were flashes from the other depth pieces too, a quick pressure here, a nice run stop there, but these two were the headline, full marks, no notes, just pure disruption from start to finish. Now let's address the elephant in the room, because I promised you we'd get back to it, and it's time. The officiating tonight was a mess. It genuinely was. That Cortland Sutton toe drag reception that got overturned had no business being overturned, and it directly cost Denver a chunk of offensive rhythm on what was shaping up to be a beautiful scoring drive. Broncos country, we always feel like we get the short end of the whistle, and I know, every fan base says that about their own team, but this one stung, and it stung bad. The good news is the officials also have their own version of preseason kinks to work out, and hopefully that improves as the calendar rolls toward week 1. It's frustrating in the moment, but it is not something I am going to lose sleep over in August. So here's where I land on all of this, and I want you to really hear me on this point. When the starters were in the game, on both sides of the ball, this team looked sharp. The offense with Bo Nix at the controls looked polished, explosive, and dangerous. The defensive front with the first team pass rush on the field looked like a unit that is going to terrorize opposing quarterbacks all season long, outside of one shaky opening drive that gets a mulligan in preseason week 2. The stuff that went sideways tonight, the offensive line penalties, the backup quarterback struggles, all of that came from players who are 3rd, 4th, and 5th on the depth chart. That is not who is taking the field in week 1. That is not who this team actually is. So don't let a 33-13 final score fool you into thinking there's a real problem here, because there isn't. This is exactly why preseason exists, to expose the depth issues now, in August when it costs nothing, instead of finding out about them in a playoff game in January when it costs everything. There is so much to be excited about with this Broncos team heading into the real season. The Nix to Waddle connection is going to be a weekly highlight reel. The Sutton and Waddle receiver room is going to give opposing secondaries nightmares every single week. This running back room with Harvey healthy and dangerous, Dobbins bringing the home run element, and a punishing rookie 4th-rounder forcing his way into the rotation might be the deepest and scariest group of ball carriers in this entire conference. And on defense, this young edge rushing core is shaping up to be an absolute problem for opposing offensive coordinators from week 1 all the way through the playoffs. There is a lot of noise in a preseason box score, but if you know where to look, and I just showed you exactly where to look, the signal underneath that noise is loud and clear. This Broncos team is building something real, and the pieces that matter most passed every single test tonight. Let's zoom out for a second, because context matters here. Green Bay's coaching staff actually addressed their defensive line hard this offseason, adding legitimate depth up front specifically to create these kinds of preseason mismatches against backup units. So some of what we saw from Denver's reserves tonight wasn't purely a Broncos problem. It was also a credit to a Packers front 7 that came into this game built to feast on inexperienced protection. That context doesn't erase the concern about Denver's 3rd and 4th string offensive line, but it does soften the blow a little bit. Every team in the league is dealing with some version of this exact story in preseason week 2, evaluating backups against opponents who are specifically trying to create tape. Denver just happened to get caught in a particularly lopsided version of that story tonight, and I don't think it tells us much of anything about how this team performs when the lights actually come on in September. All right, Broncos country, that is going to do it for this winners and losers breakdown. As always, I want to remind you why we're all here in the first place. This channel is closing in on 1,000 subscribers, and I cannot get there without every single one of you. If this breakdown helped you see tonight's game a little differently, do me a solid and smash that subscribe button right now. It genuinely takes 2 seconds, and it means the world to this channel. Drop a like on this video if you agree that RJ Harvey and this backfield are about to be must-watch television. And I want to hear from you down in the comments. Tell me who your winner and loser of the night was, because I guarantee some of you saw this game completely differently than I did, and I live for that debate. Until next time, Broncos country, mile high salute. Be cool.